Is your dog gonna be there like the entire time wanting to play fetch?
Well, if I lock him out, he'll cry the entire time. So as long as I leave him in here and like just let him ignore him, he usually does okay. So
All
we'll see.
right, cool. It's all good. All right. So let's go ahead and let's give this a go. So, for those of you who don't know Natalie really well, or you're coming to us because you've signed up for the online programming, everyone, this is Natalie, and she is one of our coaches. You can tell that she's an athlete as well because she has a nice little mark on her clavicle from some cleaning. I'm sure a lot of you guys know what that looks like and has been through that. But basically, I just wanted to give everyone an introduction and a little get to know Natalie session right now. So basically, we're just gonna dive into everything Natalie.
Good.
All right. So, I mean, from the talks that we have, you and I don't even know the extent to all of this still, but you have done a lot of different fitness stuff. You are not just a weightlifter, you're not just a CrossFitter, you've done much more than that. So, I would say in your adulthood, what was like the first fitness thing that you got into?
Okay, so after my daughter was born, I had lost like a lot of weight and found myself like super skinny for the first time having a struggle putting weight on. And so I was like, oh, what can I do? And as a stay-at-home mom at the time, her dad was always working, so I had to do something at home. I wound up finding Jillian Michaels DVDs.
Oh, yeah, I
And
remember those. I remember my parents watching those. And even like, I don't know how old I was, but even back then I was like, ooh, I want to be like Jillian Michaels. I'm going to be hardcore like that.
yeah, like she was like, I don't know, it was like watching The Biggest Loser, and just that show. It was just a way to pass the time. It was one of my like guilty pleasure shows. I'd like be on the treadmill walking and just be watching that, something silly like that. And so I got into her DVDs and started doing like adding the weights in and doing more weights, and started playing with the weights, and I really liked the weight aspect. And then kind of developed from there. Just fell in love with like the fitness and wanted to just keep exploring it.
So then what did you do after that? What came next?
Next came I checked out a local gym in Salinas and got introduced to what's called CST, or circular strength training, and TAC Fit. And they're created by Scott Sonnen, who's in Bellingham, Washington. And it's just a lot of like, we use club bells. They use a lot of the same modalities: boxes, ring rows,
Mhm.
kettlebells. Um,
Okay.
yeah, but I got really into all that.
So then what made you decide to finally go from doing these DVDs to actually walking into a gym? Because I feel like there's a ton of people who, or especially right now,
It's
I
very
think
relevant.
people, yeah, totally. And people either one are just like they've always been scared to go into the gym and they just do the DVDs, or now I think people will go to the DVDs and maybe kind of get stuck back in the DVD life because they're like, well, this is like convenient, it's just at home. So what made that switch for you?
Um, this was, I actually have two very different like workout personalities. Like, when it comes to like Olympic lifting, it's a really personal thing for me. In a sense, I have to concentrate so much on it that it's something that I typically just do on my own. When it comes to like the class structure, I went to the gym for, I needed like a push. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm great at pushing myself. I can push myself if I want to. But it's a fun environment to be in a group of people, and
Mm-hmm.
like you you get a little competitive. Like, you don't really notice it, and then you like
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh, I need to go a little faster. Like, they're going faster. I need to keep up with this person." It's just, you find yourself like competing almost mentally against someone else. And it is a good push. And it was something that I really loved. Just like having that push and having other people around, just
Mm-hmm.
a community.
Yeah, definitely. So then after you did that, what was the next thing that you got into? Because I mean, I know specific like I know that you kind of did the club stuff and I just learned that, but before that, I was like, well, we're what Natalie had told me was that she was really into like trail running. And so for some reason, I thought that was like really the beginning of your fitness journey. And then you like share like, oh, and I did this and then I tried that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, wait, where did this begin?
Yeah, no, so it began with the Jillian Michaels DVDs, and then and then I started with like the CST and TAC Fit, and then I kind of like, I kept with the CST and TAC Fit. I left that gym and went to a different gym, and it was more focused on um, like there was cycling, like group cycling classes, and there was a lot of like plyo stuff, very endurance focused and like
Hmm.
plyo focused. And it was really fun. I loved it. It was big classes. So it was really big and there was a lot of people. There was a lot of energy. It was always so much fun. And I loved that. Um, and so then during that time is kind of like when the trail running kind of kicked in and I've always been a swimmer. So that was kind of in and out through my whole life. Um,
Hmm.
but during that time I was like, oh, I kind of want to, my goal is I want to train for a try. So I was like, okay, I'll start trail running and swimming. And I just fell in love with trail running and swimming and did that too.
So do you feel like you as a person, like you just find like little goals? Like there's something that you're like, okay, that sounds like it's going to be challenging. It seems like you, which I think is great because I feel like there's a ton of people who don't have this balance, but you have a good balance of competitiveness, but also wanting that fun side of it. And like you kind of go back and forth between the two of them, it sounds like, to
Yeah.
help like maintain at least like a healthy relationship with like fitness. So was it just like you were doing these classes, they were a lot of fun, but there was like something in you that like wanted to like compete in something or push a little bit harder? Or how do
Yeah.
you decide like what you're gonna like make an actual goal out of?
Yeah. So, and when this journey, gosh, like 10 years now that I've been doing fitness stuff like hardcore. In the beginning, it was a lot of overtraining because I was like, oh, I love doing this fitness class. I want to do this fitness class, but I also want to train for a try. So I'd be going to a fitness class and a cycling class,
Mm,
but then I would also be trail running and putting a lot of stress on my body and then swimming on top of it. So I was at times overtraining and it was a long process and it took a lot of learning and like learning from other coaches and talking to people and getting my own
mhm.
coach, learning how to properly train and recover and the nutrition, like all of that stuff. uh,
Yeah.
I just wanted to do a lot. And so as I kind of got older, I realized, okay, I can't do it all. I can't do everything. So I kind of had to like prioritize my goals. And one of them was, yeah, I still want to have fun with it. But I also did like want to kind of compete with it.
Mhm.
So there's always been like a compete factor in there for me. But
Yeah.
I think it being fun was always number one for me.
Okay. That's cool. I think that's great that you prioritize things like that. I think like especially when it comes to well, fitness or nutrition, there's people who definitely like they want it all, like they love it all, they love doing it all. And I'm like, okay, but like what's the priority in this? Like, is it to lose fat or is it to get stronger? Because sometimes you can't have both, and we need to know which is going to be the priority and which we need to focus on a little bit more, because you might not get results in one place, and if you shift your eyes towards that, then it's going to totally bring you down and you're not going to go for anything at all. Or in the same way that you said like you love adding things on. Just today I was talking to someone and she was like, well, I love doing like hit classes. She's like, I also really love running. But then I was thinking that I also need to get my core stronger. So I was thinking, do you think it's a good idea if I start doing like Pilates videos and stuff like that? And I was like, you know what, like your endurance is really great, so I think that you can kind of take a step back from there and you can move on to this next level. And I was like, so yeah, like let's adventure into like the whole core stuff. I think that's a great next step. And then I was like, but I was like, if you do that, you need to like not do something else. You
Yeah.
can't add that on top of everything because, like you said, it just leads to like overtraining and your body just gets beat down. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that was like a kind of like a trial and error thing for you a little bit
Oh,
more so.
oh yeah, for sure. Definitely a lot of error in that one. It took me a long time to figure that out. And, I'm still learning. I hope to always be learning, honestly, but it, it really is a lot of trial and error. And it came down to, okay, I'm an active person. I love doing it all. And I totally would if I could. Like,
Mhm.
if I could go from dawn to dusk just doing activities, I would. I just can't. And my body can't. So it's like I really do have to prioritize, and I think that would be like the biggest like thing to say is pick priorities, because
Yeah.
otherwise you're gonna just break down and you can't do anything. I was
Yeah.
injured and couldn't do anything at that point. I was like, what's the point of this? You
Yeah.
know? So
Yeah, I definitely get that. So then at what point did you actually find CrossFit?
CrossFit came um like what year was that? It was at Jeremy's gym in South Salinas. Um, I was working for Wells Fargo. It was like 2014. It must have been. Um, and Frank from First City came in. I was working at the bank, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm opening up a gym right around the corner." I was like, "Oh, it's so cool! What kind of gym?" And he's like, "CrossFit." And I was like, "I had never heard of CrossFit." And I was like, "I don't
Mhm.
know what that is." And so he told me a little bit about it, and I looked it up, and I was like, "There's a lot of similarities between CrossFit and TACFit," which was what I was doing.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, this seems like I'd like really like it. So I went and I tried it, and I was like, oh, I really do like it. And I just kind of got hooked, except there was one workout we did where we had to do, I was strong. So I did, like there was 60 pull-ups or something, and I ripped. And it was the first time I'd ever ripped. And I was like, I was so mad. I was like, what is the point of this? Now I can't work out for a week. I was like, screw CrossFit. This is the stupidest ever. I was like offended. I was really mad at CrossFit. I took it out on CrossFit. It wasn't CrossFit's fault. It was my dumb. So I did
That's
it
funny.
for like a month or two. I stopped going, and then I registered to go back to school at MPC, and I was like, I'm going to be in Monterey. I'm going to go check out First City. And so
Mhm.
I did. I went and I checked out the other gym, and I checked out the CrossFit class. I fell in love with the classes. I was like, it was a challenge right away, and I really
Yeah.
liked that, and especially with like the barbell. Like as soon as I had a barbell in my hands, I was like, oh, this is a whole new ball game.
Mhm. Yeah, and so now that's kind of like where you're at right now is you're kind of dabbling a little bit more so or like your focus is a little bit more towards weightlifting, but you still do the CrossFit side to keep like longevity and the fun side of it all, right? Like be
Yeah,
part of a community and that
yeah,
sort of
and
thing.
there was a time when like I had not like when I found CrossFit, fell in love with CrossFit, kind of started falling in love with the Olympic lifting, and it like slowly became like like mostly CrossFit, some lifting, and then it was like more lifting, less CrossFit, and then like pretty much all lifting, no CrossFit, and it
Mhm.
started becoming lifting, 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 and I lost a lot of the fun, and it's been really nice like having like the CrossFit back in my life. It's been like that fun piece. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, the Olympic lifting is kind of more of my specialty, my focus, I would say.
Mhm.
I just really love it. I love the technicality of it. I just love how complex it is. So it's a piece of CrossFit and a piece of Olympic lifting that I just love.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And you move so well through it. So it's really nice to like watch you move. Even like the other day when you posted like your slow snatch, I
Oh
was like, I replayed it like 4 times. Like, oh wow, that looks really good. Like if you can make looking like a working with the PVC pipe like that looks so good, like you got some good movement going on.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Just a couple more things.
Yeah.
So I want to know a little bit more about like the coaching side now. So what made you decide to get your level 1 and get into coaching CrossFit more so?
So when I fell into CST and TACFit back in the day, gosh, I was like 24, 24, 25. I actually got certified through them as a coach and started coaching TACFit and CST. I went and helped coach a couple of the certifications for them as well. Just like volunteer, but like help with the certifications. And it was just a lot of fun, really good learning experience. And I liked coaching. When I started CrossFit, because it was so new to me, like a lot of the movements were new to me, the modalities were new to me. I didn't know a lot, so I spent the first couple of years just kind of like learning CrossFit. You know, I didn't
Mhm.
really want to just go take a cert for something and coach it when I didn't really know anything about it.
Yeah.
So, so it was like I really believed in knowing the sport before like trying to teach that.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
if you
absolutely.
can't do it yourself, or if you don't know how to do that, how are you going to teach someone else to do that? So I'm a firm believer in like you really need to know it and like the background of it before you just try and teach someone else. So
Mhm.
I finally felt like I was at a place I was like, I really like CrossFit. I feel like I know it enough now where I would feel confident in like starting to coach. And I was still
Mhm.
a little nervous to coach again because it's been a while. Like at that point, it had been like a good four years since I had like coached group classes.
Yeah.
So it's a little nerve wracking, but yeah, I got it. And then I got my L1 in I think it was like March 2018, and then started coaching at First City, and then a couple other gym or one other gym, and then now for Makers. So
Cool. Has there been like a standout, like a coaching moment that you've had that you were like, man, like that, that's why I do this. That's why I coach this.
um well, for CrossFit specifically, I'm trying to think. I my most recent one, yes. Okay, so there was a lady I was personal training, and she just had a fear of boxes, like just jumping up on a box. She is just petrified
Mhm.
to. And like some people don't understand that, and I was like, it's fine. Like some people are afraid of snakes and some aren't. It doesn't matter what you're afraid of.
Yeah.
That's your reaction. She was so afraid to jump up on a box, but one day she came in and she was determined. She was like, I'm gonna get a box jump today. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So we set up like a smaller box, and it took her a little while, but like we were like talking to her, but I was like, you got this. I was like,
Yeah.
it's not even a big jump. And like eventually she got up the nerve and she did it, and the first one, and like we both like jumped up and were like yelling. We were like, oh my god, you did it! Like those moments, like you you feel them scared, being scared.
Yeah.
Like you feel their
Yeah.
nervousness, you feel them in the insecurity. And so when you see them overcome that, it's like you feel that too. You're like, oh my god,
Yeah. You're
yes, I
part
knew
of it
you could
all.
do it.
Uh-huh.
Like, look, I knew you could do it, and you just showed us you can. It's like
Heck yeah.
their face, their reaction, like knowing they can now do something, it's like the best. It's the best.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like they say, it's always about the journey. But yeah, I think like uh, the I know, for me, and you have like a Olympic weightlifting coach too. I think that's like a really cool thing is a lot of the coaches have their own coaches, you
Yep.
know, so they're constantly learning. And I think that's like a really big thing that we all believe in and we all want, hence why we are all part of this team. But I'm sure you felt like this before too when you have that coach, like it's something that you guys go through together. And so to be able to like accomplish that thing and have that person where you're like, you helped me do this and now we get to celebrate together makes
Yeah.
it all that much more better. I mean, for me, it's almost like that's the first thing that I go to. Everything that I do, I'm like, well, I hope I make my coach proud, you
Yeah.
know? And so I mean, I'm sure that she was super excited to share that moment with you. And
Oh
now
yeah.
you guys both get to have that together. All right. So to wrap it up, the last thing that I wanted to ask you is what are your future plans? Like anything. It could be like in fitness, in I mean, this isn't your only like you love this stuff and you love coaching, but you also have other goals too outside of here. So what are the things that you're looking forward to?
Ooh, oh, I have a lot of goals. I'm a very goal-oriented person. I'll try and make it very simple and easy. But for coaching wise, I want to dive more into getting my USAW level one so that I can officially Olympic lift coach like an only team or
Mm-hmm.
barbell club. That would be really fun. I just want to learn more about that and what coaching, just like those certain things, would look like.
Hmm.
Um, and career, like I like coaching is my, like, I feel like I have two careers kind of, like I have coaching and like the fitness and like health world, which I love, and it's like my passion. And then I also have like my EMT side, like that medic stuff that I love. And my goals are basically just kind of all career focused in either one way or the other. And the next step is getting my undergrads for nursing school. So I have
Heck yeah.
goals to be a flight medic. It's a long process. It's probably going to take me close to 10 years if I'm like realistic. Yeah, it's a long process. So
I had no idea.
yeah, it's a really
That's
long process.
insane.
Yeah. So yeah,
Well,
working towards it one day
I
at a
mean,
time. All you can do.
we're excited to be part of your journey and to have you part of the team too. So I think like you now having this whole conversation, and it like ties back up to like our conversation earlier. And like I see that you know, you have like your goal driven like career side, but then you still have your fun side, which is all this coaching stuff that you're doing. And I think that like it balances you out perfectly. And you're not someone, I mean, like I said, it's so easy to just sway all to one side or the other. And I
Yeah.
think that you kind of have a really great balance, and you've learned how to really use that to your advantage. So
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to, like, and I think that's been the biggest like learning over the last few years, is just how to balance everything and like how to stay focused on the paths where I want to go, and
yeah.
that's like literally a reminder every day. I have a career roadmap in my book every day that I see, and it's like mapped out every freaking year. It's like I follow
Yeah.
that to T every day. So
Yeah. If you guys have any like questions on like organizing or like schedule setting or goal setting, Natalie is your girl to talk to about that, because oh man, her journals are the most beautiful thing ever. Her lesson plans are so organized, and every time I see it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need to take after this right here. So if you need help, Natalie is your person to go to, definitely.
I try.
All right.
Okay, for sure.
Thanks so much, Natalie. This
Yeah.
was great. So thank you. And
Yeah.
yeah, if anyone has any questions for Natalie, you know, you can hit us up on an email. What's your actually, how about this? What's your Instagram for people who want to follow you on Instagram? You also have a Facebook too, but what's your
I do have
Instagram?
a Facebook. My Instagram, that's a great question. It just says your story. It's NS Gilbert 87. So N as in Nancy, S as in Sam, and then Gilbert, my last name, number 87.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, thank you so much, Natalie.
Thank you. All right.